Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Fan Appreciation Month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a black comedy from 1996 directed by Charles Band. That movie is Head of the Family. I will say I have seen a little bit of this film. I've seen maybe about 4, maybe 5 minutes of footage, and that was years and years back. And really about the only thing I actually remember from that few minutes is exactly what you see on the cover, is that the head of the family is just a head, a large giant head on a tiny little body. That's really the only thing I remember about it. So I'm kind of hoping for it to be good, and Charles Band rarely ever disappoints, so, you know, even though he has in the past, I'm kind of hoping that this here is one of his better outings. But the only way for me to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Head of the Family. Whoa, hang on a sec. So, why the hell did they stop and comment on the fence that was blocking the road if it was only blocking about half of it? Wouldn't it then just have made sense to have just sort of, you know, like driven around it, never even gotten out of your car or anything else? I totally understand that. Wow, those are some creepy fucking eyes. Anyway, it just seems totally pointless to, you know, comment on and make a big deal about this fence that's blocking off the road when you could easily just drive the fuck around it and not have to deal with it. I mean, okay, I understand it's trivial and stupid, but it just seemed a little off to me, you know? Guys, this is just a little bit weird, you know, because when this movie started off, Lance actually seemed almost kind of lovable, and now he's turned into a massive douchebag, and he really just went from kind of cool to douchebag in fucking record time. I just kind of wanted to share that. You know, guys, even though Lance is a massive douchebag, good God, he is fucking clever. I am going to say that. He is, like, stupidly clever. It's actually kind of shocking. Okay. I never thought I'd say this in one of these videos. That was the creepiest goddamn tongue I think I've ever seen. Just, wow, just seeing that giant, massive, nasty-looking tongue kind of sort of made me cringe a little. That's, wow. Okay, that was probably the worst use of a dummy I've ever seen in any movie, but still, it kind of worked. I honestly am kind of speechless, you know, that was just an absolutely god-awful effect, but somehow it kind of worked in its own warped sort of way. I kind of like it. Well, guys, that was Head of the Family. Let me shut that off. Okay. So, wow, where to start with this one? Well, I guess I should start with the writing. The writing here, at least by the standards set by prior like full moon films I've seen, it is certainly one of the better ones. I would certainly rank it up there with stuff such as Puppet Master, Doll Man, or Blood Dolls. Like, all of those were great. I totally rank it up there with those. It really has some really witty, some really sharp writing. I was kind of surprised because I didn't know what to really expect going into this. I had no idea, I mean, because I knew that it was a dark comedy, but I didn't know exactly how much wit was going to go into this comedy. And frankly, I was hit with a ton of it. I was hit with just a ton of fantastic wit and stuff that was making me genuinely smile. I really was digging the writing. Humor here is smart, however, though, it isn't too smart, so that pretty much means that anybody can easily dive in, and you'll hopefully be able to get almost every, you know, like, reference and joke. And that to me is always good. I've always enjoyed smart humor. That's something which I was not expecting in the slightest here. If there's anything I kind of have to question in terms of writing, it's just a handful of like minor things, real minor, real small things. And I mentioned one of them earlier, and it is that the stag pools set up a roadblock so that way people will veer off the road, will drive onto their property, and then they'll just basically kidnap them and use them for their various scientific experiments. And and our two main characters, Loretta and Lance, they see this thing and they make a big deal out of it, and then go ho hum and then just drive around it. It made no sense. It really almost seemed as if this thing was set up entirely to get the plot going, because it's thanks to that roadblock that Lance saw them, kidnap this guy and go and dump his truck in the back and what have you. So, but still, it's just the fact that it's just the fact that if you want to put up a roadblock, it would have helped if maybe they would have had to have turned around and try to find a different route back. But no, instead it's just, oh well, and then they go like right around it as if it's nothing. So again, that felt a little bit odd. One other thing that felt just a little off is when we actually meet the Stagpool family. Myron, who is the big brain on the cover here, he basically states that all four of them are quadruplets, and each of them basically got their own little bit of things. In other words, Otis is just muscle and nothing else. Wheeler has these giant creepy eyes, and I know for a fact I mentioned those also. He has fantastic sight, fantastic hearing, and fantastic smell. He has all those senses. Myron here got basically the brains. And their sister in all of this, Ernestina, is supposed to be an absolute knockout, and I'm going to cover that in just a sec. But anyway, Myron almost directly says that he was given all of the brains, and he's basically and that the other three are basically just puppets that he is able to psychically control. Which doesn't work when you consider the fact that all three of them, at least Otis seems to have some kind of actual mind of his own, and he is able to think. So, and plus also Myron even mentions that later on. It's just, why exactly would he state to a total stranger that he has total fucking power over his three siblings, and that all of them are all essentially just psychic, extensions of himself, and then about an hour later tell that very same character that he honestly doesn't have as much control. To me, it just seemed a little off, seemed kind of strange. But see, that is also an incredibly minor thing, and it's really nothing which is going to bother people unless they are like me and they're looking for problems. Excuse me. So anyway, so beyond those two little issues involving the writing, everything else here, writing-wise, is really good. Especially since we have Lance cooking up this massive plot, which frankly works. I mean, it works. It totally works in its own screwed up sort of way. There actually is a lot of thought put, into it. And I've seen a lot of these sorts of films, and the person who's doing the blackmailing never puts this much thought into exactly how they're going to go through with the blackmail. It sounded really good, and I am going to have to give them props on that. Acting. Believe it or not, guys, the acting here is really good. I have seen so many films from Full Moon, and I know that the acting really just hits every single part of the spectrum, from really good to absolute garbage. And here it skews a little bit more towards the good end of things. Mind you, the acting here isn't great, but the acting is still at least pretty good. Or I should say that the acting is good enough so that way you are able to differentiate that from the purposely bad acting, which is done during the little stage show late in the film. So yes, acting here is really good. It's really solid from top to bottom. Nobody here is really turning in a bad showing, but also nobody here is turning in a showing which is so good that it's going to set the world on fire. So really, the acting is good enough. I'll just state it that way and move on. Special effects, for anyone who looks at this and they might be thinking that it'll be a gore film, I'm going to tell you, gore and blood are at an absolute minimum. So that pretty much means that the only thing you'll see are things like surgical scars or missing eyes, or that really creepy goddamn tongue, or Wheeler's giant goofy looking eyes. And all of that looks really good too. It's like all of it is done with makeup effects. All of it looks fantastic. I want to give special mention to Myron because, once more, he's just this head. And as far as I can tell, first of all, almost every single shot is a close-up, so that way then you just see the actor's head, and there's like child arms that were probably just matted in afterwards. At least that's going to be my guess. And his face it basically looks to be a full facial. It looks to be a full facial appliance, and the only time it looks sort of off is that essentially for a couple of shots, the rubber on the tip of his nose, it really does look almost like it's starting to peel, or there is this really bizarre shine on it, and it really doesn't look natural. And that again is just such a minor picky ass thing that I don't think anyone else is gonna even notice it. Beyond that, though, makeup effects here are really good, and I'm talking everything from all of the Stagpool patients, and all of them have various scars or missing eyes, or they got weird friggin' scabs on their forehead, or whatever the case is. Looks really good. Wheeler has those giant eyes, and they look awesome. And again, Myron looks great. So yes, guys, makeup effects here are fantastic. Now, casting. I'm going to mention casting because they make a big deal. There are a ton of characters who talk about how Ernestina is the most beautiful thing you will ever see, and I've seen her. I saw her in the movie, and I'm going to tell you that she is not the sexiest woman in this film. It's probably because she looks a little bit too fake. She just basically looks like she looked like she had a few too many surgeries, and she doesn't look natural. And to me, again, as I've seen in a few of these, that's not really enough. And the very fact that Loretta, who is supposed to be kind of sort of plain looking, and her husband's always commenting about how she has a chunky ass. She actually is a lot sexier looking, at least to me, than the actress who played Ernestina. Again, that is just, personal preference and all that. It's just, if you honestly are going to say that a character is the sexiest woman you will ever see anywhere, it would kind of help if you didn't have another actress in the film who is far, far, far more attractive. I mean, that is just me, and that is minor nitpicky bullshit. Music here is okay. Music here really isn't anything special. I mean, a couple of these songs are probably going to be a little bit memorable. You might happen to remember a song or two later on. You might be sitting there working on something, and then maybe a song from here might suddenly pop into your head, and it'll be very faint, it'll be very vague. However, you are not going to know it is from this, because even though the music is a little bit catchy, it's also incredibly, incredibly generic. I mean, because a lot of it almost sounds like the exact same music. In fact, hell, most of it probably was the exact same music I heard in other full moon films, and the one that comes to mind is Blood Dolls. Blood Dolls had a very similar sounding score. Blood Dolls also was an awesome movie as well, but I'm just stating that. So anyway, when all is said and done, am I able to recommend Head of the Family? Oh yes, most certainly. That is, if you are into B movies, because guys, everything here just absolutely screams B, movie, without having all of the trappings of movies which are, basically, purposely bad. We actually have acting, which is decent. We have makeup here, which is awesome. We have writing, which is witty and sharp and kind of funny. So the thing, honestly, it kind of sort of has that B movie feel without actually going out of its way to purposely be a B movie. And to me, that is awesome. That to me is what you should be doing. You should never, ever intentionally try to make a movie bad. Otherwise, usually winds up looking like absolute shit. And I don't know how many times I have to tell people that over the course of this series. This is how you do a love letter to B movies right. By actually making a solid B movie. Now, guys, because this is Fan Appreciation Month, Head of the Family came off the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in is a YouTuber by the name of ZulaShake100. You can find his channel. I'm going to assume that it's a him, and please correct me if I'm wrong. You can find his channel over at youtube.com/user/ZulaShake100. Swing over there and check out anything and everything he has, and dude, thank you. I was really curious about this movie for a long time, partially because I've been kind of interested in checking out more stuff from Full Moon Features, and this thing's almost always been at the top of my must-watch list of Full Moon movies after I got through all of the Puppet Master films, and I got through friggin', like Ginger Dead Man and Demonic Toys and all that. This thing here was high up there, and I finally got to watch it, and it was amazing. Once more, guys, that is youtube.com/user/ZulaShake100. I will put a link to his channel in this video's description. And once more, dude, thank you. This movie was awesome. And with that, guys, we come to the close of another fan appreciation month. Frankly, this one here turned out really good. At least I thought it turned out pretty good. And seeing as how I closed out on something really awesome, I am incredibly happy. And yes, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.